Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fourth and Neat. After a 1-week break, Jared Allen and I are back. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, nothing much. Man, my hair really got long on that week break. You know what I mean? Just admiring the flow. Nice to be back talking to you, bud. It's been some busy times lately. You've been all over the place.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of my book tour.
Yep.
Bottom Shelf just hit bookstores this week. It's all over the place. I'm in New York right now, and I've got.
What's kind of funny though? I was going to say, what's fitting is that you're in New York doing all virtual tours for a book called Bottom Shelf. They gave you the Bottom Shelf treatment. They made you come to the hotel to not see anybody in person.
So get this. We set up this whole trip, right, to do like in-person interviews with. Normally I do something like I've done stuff with like Fox and Friends and Today Show and all that. Well, the Olympics and all the crazy like hard news, like there's been a lot of celebrity deaths in the last week, kind of got me bumped from a lot of stuff. Yeah. But, I'm still doing all these interviews. They're just like virtual. And so I
can tell you're in New York as well because of the sirens in the background.
Yeah. You might hear the fire alarm too popping off.
How's the book tour going though?
It's been humbling. It's in Ohio, 1,200 people came to two different spots, and I just like I don't even have words for it. Like people coming up to me telling me that how they're a veteran and they got help because of me, and like how my story helped them get a loved one into help. And then of course everyone's giving me a little shit about my top 100, about like, oh, why didn't you have this brand in there, that brand, or everyone's always wanting to know what my favorite like affordable bourbon is too. It's like I've got like 30 of them, so I kind of rotate it.
Do you ever think about narrowing that down to just like your top 50 or top 25 to really add more clout to it?
Every time I do it, every time I try to do that, I get to like the 50 and I'm like, oh, but these 10 right here are like really, really good. Yeah. And then I get to the top 60 and I'm like, oh boy, I'll just make it top 75. And then I get there. And every year I leave like probably 20 brands out that should be in there, but it's just hard to do. And I've I'm a glutton for punishment, and I really model the top 100 after the Billboard top 100.
Yeah, I get that.
I love that list, and I don't know, it's an undertaking, but I really enjoy it. I love what I do. The side effect of tasting all that much is that I'm out of tasting for about 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, I bet your mouth has got to just be depleted.
Yeah, it's pretty raw. Yeah. So, especially now, like I'm not tasting like I used to. So the workouts aren't what, like the old days. Because the palate is like, it's like an athlete. You got to work that thing out.
Yeah, you got to keep those sensories firing. Otherwise, you're never going to know what pecan husk and castral gland tastes like.
Oh, by the way, that's making its round. The beaver butt juice.
Yeah.
It has been discovered. Beaver butt juice has been discovered as a replacement for strawberry flavoring, and so like all these people are like finding out that they've been enjoying some strawberry flavor in their cereal or something. Turns out
butt juice.
It's beaver butt juice under the natural flavorings, because let's be honest, it's very natural to get a beaver butt and get the juice out of there.
Hold on one second, I gotta shut this door so we don't get any side distraction. Hold on.
Well, you got side distractions. I got fire alarms going off. I got sirens. So this ain't no thing. Yeah.
Fire up here. I'm gonna do a little self-advertising too. I'm gonna pop this bad boy right here in the background, right up here.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's happened since we were last on.
There we go. Back at it.
The other thing that's happened since we were last on together is that Full Ride has officially launched. So my book is launched and your bourbon is launched.
Yes,
how has that been going?
Good. You know what? We didn't do anything special. You know what I mean? Because this was that like really small batch. Like I said, we only had 228 bottles. We did a special canister for it, numbered canisters. I signed each one of them just because this brand is never supposed to be tied to me. We're not a celebrity brand, right? we just think we blended and aged really, really good bourbon. And so, this one was just kind of one of those things where we're waiting for our glass. We were waiting for our 115 that we're going to release that we'll have in a more abundance. And we were sitting there with juice in the tote, and it was like, well, we got it. We might as well send it out. The 122 was never going to be released, as you know, and you've tried it. And so we said, screw it. We'll make it something special, make it a little collector's edition, release that. And then we didn't put a lot of hubbub behind it. I just threw it out. I threw a little video out that we taped on my, crazy part was I taped that video around Christmas, right? And as you know, in the spirits world, logistics are a nightmare always.
Oh yeah.
The rule of thumb is plan for everybody to be a month late. Then you don't want to choke people. So there you go. And that's why I can't be in corporate America, because I'm like, you said X, you delivered on X, you should get punched in the throat. But so we decided to release that. So I filmed this video because it was around Christmas time. Our plan was to get it out for Christmas. So I had a Christmas sweater on, a Christmas curling sweater, and so we just threw it out on my Instagram, threw it on some Facebook, and you know what? We're starting to build up traction. We're starting to get hits, and we've had a couple people like some bourbon, outlets and stuff reach out, want to start reviewing it and doing all that stuff. So we're growing this thing organically. It's kind of we'll let the juice lead. We're not trying to do anything fancy. We're just putting a high product out. So with that said, go to fullride.com and get you some, and you can sign up for 115, which will come out in April, and I can't wait for you to taste the 115, Fred. Honestly.
Well, yeah, and then comes the critic phase, and then you'll be wanting to punch people in the throat for different reasons.
Honestly, though, like I handle criticism on this stuff like pretty simple, because like I think bourbon, like wine, like food, right? I mean, everybody's got a different palate for it, right? And so what I can say is, like, if I put something in the bottle, it'll go through me, Mike, and our team, and if we genuinely like it, and I'll put it out there, and someone else might not like it, and that's okay, and that's your right? Because there's certain things that people think, oh man, this is a top-notch bourbon. I bought high-dollar quality bourbons before, and I'm like, not my fave, you know. And I think that's what makes the spirits world in totality, wine, even beer, and this so much fun, because it's subjective to each person's taste and palate, and that's where I like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I know what's gone into it. I can promise you this. Quality has gone into it. Quality juice, aged. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was, trying to be mass produced. It's going to be small batch. It's going to be high quality. If you like it, fantastic. If you don't, cool. And if I can make it better through tweaks, that's what we're going to try to do.
I think the only criticism that you will get, because the whiskey's fantastic, will be the price point. Yep. As one of the leaders in the bourbon community, it is always my duty to say to someone, it'd be better at like $60.
I know. We came out at $99.99, so our 122 is selling for $295 online, and we're doing direct to consumer, which I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, how come I can't get it at a store, or something like that. This first year, we just want to go direct to consumer. We don't want to spend all of our money pushing individual markets, right? We'd rather build content around our brand and be able to deliver that directly to the people via social media. And obviously the marketplace has changed, and do cool stuff like that, and really position ourselves as, I have no desire to, you make a lot of money selling 100,000 cases a year, but that's not what we're after, right? We're not trying to be, we're not into the shot. We're not here for the shot crowd and all that. We want to be that bourbon you grab when it's time to celebrate something, when it's like, man, had a freaking hard day, we feel accomplished, whether it's a big deal, whether your kids are off to college, whatever that moment is, sit down, have a glass or two, and then we're back to work the next day, because our whole motto was grit and determination deserve to be celebrated, and that's what we do.
There's another reason why people I don't condone drinking for problems, but Canada's been having some issues in your sport. Curling.
Yeah, our next guest who also loves good bourbon.
I love that. So you are a professional curler, and you've been knocking on the door at the world stage for many years now. But you have brought onto the show one of the goats of curling.
100%. And a teammate of mine, and I got to be a teammate of this dude. Talk about Hall of Fame of curling. I got to blend right in. When we were out in November, Johnny and I, we were both a part of the curling group, which owns the the Grand Slams of curling. And so we had our very first slam in the U.S., and we thought, what a great idea to put a blended Canadian, U.S. team together. So myself and Jason Smith, who was a 2010 Olympian, an old teammate of mine, were the Americans. And then we got Johnny Moe and Wayne Maddah to play as our Canadian counterparts. And those two, I mean, they single-handedly are two of the greatest curlers to ever walk the face of the earth. Johnny Moe, two-time Olympic gold medalist. And as we learned earlier, doesn't even know how many world championships he won. That's like, whatever. And a hell of a dude, firefighter, and dude, love Johnny Morris. Welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, fellas? How are you?
It's great to have you on. So, one of the things that has been lighting everybody up this Winter Olympics is accusations of the Canadians cheating. So let's just start there. Why
didn't even butter him up? You didn't even take him to dinner first. You just went full throttle.
This is
deep right away.
I was
just on the Paul Feinbaum show.
I was hoping to ease into it. A little icebreaker maybe.
Well, this is a hard news hitting podcast.
Wait till we start talking about aliens, Johnny. It's going to get real weird. This is the easy part.
Yeah. Well, there is accusations that curling was created by aliens. So
you know what? You sent that to me, and I haven't read it yet. I figured why not get our reactions live and in person.
All right, so Johnny, for real, I just kind of jumped right into it. That's because all the media I've been getting, Jared, they just go right into the questions. But for real though, it's it has captured the entire world, and I had no idea there was such a rivalry between the Swedes and the Canadians when it came to curling.
Well, there hasn't really been in the past. So that's the crazy part.
I was going to say, I thought, isn't that pretty new? I don't remember Sweden and Canada having an issue.
We're usually kindred spirits, us and those Scandinavians, So we both like, winter sports and cross-country skiing. And, so this is kind of new, this one. But, it was, I guess, in a positive light. Usually curling doesn't get a lot of love or a lot of media per se. But now it's I think it's the talk of the Olympics. So from that standpoint, that's good for the game. But, curling is traditionally a pretty gentleman's sport. We don't have fights, although I'll be honest with you, there's probably a few times in my career I would have loved to have thrown down. But we don't have fights. It's a pretty gentleman's sport. We always usually have a beer or drink after the game with the opposition. That's how I was raised. So for something like this to happen where there was a bit of an accusation of some potential cheating going on. It's really kind of rocked the curling world. And to be honest with you, I know all those guys really well. I went to 2010 Olympics with two of the guys on Canada, and one of them was Mark Kennedy, who's the guy who's getting, as the allegation against him. And I got to say this: he's probably the most honest, fair guy I've ever played with. Dude's never even come close to cheating. Now, with what's happened here, it's a bit of a gray area. So it's not like there's something set in stone about because what's happened is people have probably there's so many curlers in the game right now that double touch and don't even realize it. It's all part of their natural delivery. So the real surprising part of this whole thing to me and a bunch of other, curlers is that the timing of it is no one's ever been called out for this ever in the past in their career, and for Sweden to bring this up at the Olympics, the highest stage of the in the world, was surprising, and that's kind of what's kind of caught, I think, a lot of people off guard.
Explain what a double touch would be.
So a double touch is essentially you have to release the stone before the hog line. Okay, if you don't, then it's they remove the rock, which rarely ever happens, but that's a pretty black and white rule. A double touch is if you let the rock go and after you let it go, you touch it again before it gets past the hog line. It's considered a double touch. It's
that's illegal.
Very subtle, really hard to tell. And the other real challenge of this whole situation is when Sweden brought this up to the officials, essentially the officials had to now monitor the hog lines and try and look for something they've never had to look. Imagine being an official and yet now you're put into the Olympics, and now you have to look for something you've never had to enforce in your career as an official, and it's really hard to see, and it created a bit of a shit show because there was the following games. Now there was other teams. It wasn't Canada involved anymore.
They pulled a rock,
getting the rocks pulled.
Yeah, they got a rock pulled.
Fiasco, and it just I think there was a lot of hype about this. Like if this is showing up a lot of people's social feed, curling cheating scandal in the sport, and I think it's created a lot of reactions from the people that aren't really they don't know curling, and it's just like the quick buzz hit on their social media, and they're jumping on that bandwagon. But I think there is a lot of hype about this. Again, it's probably good for the sport. We could use a little more action.
And the meme. And if you don't have a shirt with a finger on the edge of a rock,
I did see a good one. I saw they literally put all these like figure skaters. They did like a collage of all the figure skaters like falling.
There's my curling stone.
And every time there you go. And every time one of the figure skaters would fall, they had Mark's hand pushing them down. So I had to get a crack out of that one. So at least we're having some fun with it.
Oh yeah, I mean it could be worse. Like the quad father or the quad god, whatever his name is. Like that poor guy. That's sad.
What? It was sad, but here. So again, and I might get hated on for these comments right here. And it very might well could be, but I honestly I understood what he was saying. Right. And he kind of was just like, basically after the end of the thing, talking about how he got in his own head and he did, this, that, and the other. And it was just like, and it came off to me as an athlete, right? I'm like, but that's why we're the best. Like, that's why you're supposed to be the best, right? You're supposed to be able to block that out. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. And kudos for him for being very honest with it. But to say that you were distracted and that basically the anxiety of the whole situation came on and that's why you didn't perform to your level and that kind of stuff. I felt it kind of like, honestly, excuse-ish, right? And I'm just like, you're in this position. I mean, those are the moments you live for. So, again, kudos. I was kind of mixed on that. Kudos for the raw honesty of it. But when I was reading the interview and reading it, talking, and like you said, people felt, oh my gosh, it's terrible. I feel sorry for him. But I'm like, any high-level athlete has been in those situations. And that's why you're there. You have to rise above that and perform. I mean, that's why you become the 1% of the 1%, right? I mean, that's the difference. I'm sure you had shots when you were, trying to win a gold medal, when you did win gold medals, that if you would have missed and came back and be like, guys, I got really nervous. That's not going to be the excuse that your teammates are going to. In my world, if I would have been like, man, got nervous and I lost the Super Bowl, which I did lose the Super Bowl, but those excuses, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but those reasonings don't work in my world, right? In my line of sports, maybe individual sports.
Well,
are different.
Jared, let's be real here. You're talking about a combat, full contact sport in football, where ice skating. Look, it's not easy, but different mentality there.
Your nickname is the Quad God or the Quad Father. It's like you've captured an essence of.
He's also wearing sequences and like.
Listen, I'm just saying. I appreciate generational talent, right? And that dude is a generational talent for that sport. But you have to have the mindset to go with it. So I guess let's just say this. I was disappointed when the interview I read, and maybe just the way the interview I read was constructed, it seemed like he was admitting to be mentally fragile in those moments, right? And it's like, I get it. Not everybody's got a steel trap up there. But I'm like, oh my gosh. As a fan of generational talent, I was kind of let down. I was kind of disappointed because I was like, this dude was on the precipice of doing something. Like, this guy's already doing things other people can't do. And so, you root for that. Some people don't root for that. I love seeing greatness. I absolutely love seeing greatness. And then when you fall from it, I'm not an excuse guy. So you just got to be like, well, I blew that one. I don't know what the answer is. I guess I was hoping for like a quadruple backflip or something,
Well,
yeah, of course we're talking about Ila Malinin, and like he was he basically was the favorite to win the gold this Olympics, and he went to TikTok to express his like frustrations and sadness, and kind of got off it a little bit, and He's been very honest about like how that pressure and everything. But we've seen it in gymnasts. I see it in wrestling all the time. The people pressure to perform in those individual sports is the greatest enemy. It is. You're not going against an opponent in those individual sports.
You're going
against someone else.
You're going against your own mind. I think that's and I shouldn't say excuse. I just when you're seeing greatness and it can happen, and then all of a sudden in the moment where you're about to take the title, that's what separates the ultimate greats of all time versus just people that are good or people that are really good for a season. And so again,
this is my take on it. Like the Olympics is we play in world championships, we play on tour, we'll have media there, but the Olympics is like I would take that and times it by at least 10. Like it is, and you're seeing it in curling again this year. Great Britain, Bruce Mowat, number one team in the world, barely lost in the last 3 years, and he's in fourth place right now. Same thing on the women's side with Rachel Homan in Canada, but I do agree with you. I agree that I just wanted to let everyone know how, like it is crazy what you feel at the Olympics, but the best athletes, in my opinion, and the best athletes of their kind will find a way to perform when the pressure is at the absolute max. And to me, that's what really makes a heart of a champion is when the chips, everything is on the line, and they can be that person that mentally is the toughest.
Well, I mean, I saw it. Where I saw it too was on Full Display. I love the Olympics because I get to watch sports I don't ever get to watch, right? So I watched the biathlon, the shooting and skiing. And this dude started, the guy from France started, and I think it was like his last race, but he started with like a monster lead and he's going in, he's got the lead. And this dude steady chipping away. And they got to the last round, the leader gets in, the favorite gets in, and if he shoots clean, he's out, right? He gets in there. Barrel moving, he misses two. The dude behind him that came in probably 10, 15 seconds behind him came in, dink, 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 blew through all 4 or 5, whatever it was, wins. That dude falls, the leader fell out of the podium. So you're right there. You literally have one skill set left of your, the prone. Oh, sorry, it wasn't the prone, it was the standing shots. And that was cool to watch because it was the testament of the mental toughness and the mental focus of those athletes, right? Mm-hmm. One dude rose to the occasion and just mowed it down, took advantage, ends up winning the thing by a large margin. And the guy who was favored to lead, he fell off the podium. So, but yeah, I mean, I get the pressure. I get it. But I think that's where, as a fan, you appreciate the ones that rise above it the most. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking anything away from the guy's talent. Clearly I can't do anything he's doing. But and the honesty, again, is commendable as well. I'm just like, I'm watching dudes do backflips on ice. You know what I mean? I'm thinking we're not going to be fragile. We're going to be rock solid. You know what I mean?
He did hit the backflip at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big deal according to Jacqueline. And there was all kinds of controversy about who hit it first. But yeah, I want to get back to curling a little bit. I do love ice skating, and I feel for that guy. And I had Scott Hamilton on my show, the Fred Minnick show, a while back, and one of the nicest dudes. By the way, his son trained in MMA, so he's kind of like a combat guy too. So it's funny, like Scott Hamilton, you see this nice, gentle soul, but he could probably choke a guy or two. So.
Yeah, but that's why he's one of the greatest ever. He's got that fighter mentality. That's why fighting is the greatest sport, in my opinion, because the only thing holding you back is your mental toughness. And who said it? Mike Tyson, I think he said it. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
That's right.
And so with boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, in combat sports and fighting sports, you have to be so mentally tough and so physically fit to execute your game plan against another human being who's trying to punch you in the face. You know what I mean? That's why those top fighters, it's fantastic. The mental toughness Let me ask you this, Johnny. You're talking about, Rachel coming up a little short in what she's trying to accomplish over there at the Olympics, and she's been untouchable for the last 3 years. Bruce over there, Moet, as well, playing for Great Britain. Do you see a difference in the mentality? Like, so there's so much science behind mental, I'm open about it. I'm not a big fan of sports psychology. I think sports psychology gives athletes excuses for why something's going wrong. Right?
Oh boy.
I do. I do. I think it's great to have routines. I think it's great to have great practices. It's great to have that. But sometimes you just have to win. Like sometimes you just have to get the job done. Right? Sometimes you're not going to feel the greatest. And if you come out of like, well, you know what? I didn't have my normal routine. I didn't have, or I didn't have this, I didn't have that, or, my headspace was, I don't know. I feel like it gives, I wasn't raised in that era. It was, like Johnny said, chips on the line, get it done. But do you think there's so much information now, right? There's so much information that people are trying to gather. There's so many coaches. There's so much being fed in about, this, that, or blah, 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 that if something's slightly off, then the athlete can't perform. So, when you were in the Olympics, I'm sure you guys didn't have a sports psychologist. You probably had like your one coach, you know what I mean? Do you think, so that would be my question. Do you think there's too much information going into athletes these days, which then can cause some of these nervous, mental lapses?
You know what? That's a great question. And here's my take on it. There's definitely, you can get to a stage where it's like information overload. It's like overwhelming. I think a sports psychologist can help in early stages of high performance where they essentially can give you some tools, like how to park negative thoughts, things like that. They can give you tools. But when it comes to, I'm also with you when I think that there's sometimes too much emphasis put on sports psych, because what I think's happening at these Olympics for these athletes is this: they have a ton of information, and when it comes to something, when the pressure is really on, it's so easy to just get that tunnel vision. Call it like T-Rex arms. We call it in the fire service. But what's vital and what you remember is just to keep things simple at those things. The simpler you can keep it on the highest stage, rather than getting like totally overwhelmed with information, usually the better you do as an athlete. And I think one area where, if I was to predict where these athletes struggle, I always loved having someone on our team, or having like one of the coaching staff be able at the Olympics to keep it light. Like, you just had a really big win or a really tough loss. You go back and it's like, hey, tell a few jokes. Let's play some cards. Like, make you understand that, hey, it's not, the world isn't on your shoulders right now. And let's go and play some cards. Let's tell some jokes. Let's lighten the mood. And I think what's happening, if I was to, I'm seeing these faces of these athletes, and they are not performing like they have all year. And you can see that there's the tension is not being cut. There's tension between them and their teammates. You could just see stress in their eyes and their minds. And I think that rather than having like a sports psychologist, a nutritionist, someone who's taken stats, which is now all we get now, get someone there that can someone that the team trusts, that can lighten the load. When you get back to the village, is like you can keep their mind off of curling for the next 8 hours, so that they need to diffuse. You need that as an athlete, and I don't think enough of them are putting any resources into that.
I saw that. I was watching the Italian USA game last night, right? I don't know when it was. It was playing over here last night, and that's what I just thought. Like Danny Casper, I was watching when the Americans were sitting at 4-2. I mean, that team was beaming with confidence, right? I mean, they were putting things crazy, and then all of a sudden, I saw Danny's face, and the same thing last night. I was like, you know what? They're getting into that tough stretch of games, right? They've already played 6 or 7 games. Mm-hmm. And now you're in that long stretch of the week. You're kind of getting against these better teams, and it did. He looked stressed. He looked tired. He looked like, and then you start pressing, right? Because then you're trying to go. And in football, we always said, like, you have to work your processes, right? So we were always, first of all, you have to stop the run. You have to earn the right to rest the passer. So how do you do that when alignment and assignment, right? Get off the ball. First of all, you got to line properly and you got to get off the ball, right? you got to know. But when you start pressing for a sack, you're trying to make things happen, you lose your technique, you lose your focus, you get out of there. So, it's all it is. I think you're right. It's that, keep it simple, stupid, mentality. And sometimes, sometimes like you're saying, like sometimes the game can be on, like, you just have to make the shot. The ice might go to crap, right? You might be sitting there, you got 15 different times. John, I just need you to make the shot.
Yeah.
You just got to draw the button, dude. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, we can have all the excuses in the world, but sometimes you just have to freaking do it. And that's kind of what I see. And I see it in youth sports today too, right? There's this mentality of it. There's sometimes there's got to be a hardness in sports. There's got to be an alpha moment where you're just like, it doesn't matter where we're at. We're just gonna crank.
Yeah.
So in my other show, Pin It Forward, like we focus on, youth wrestling and like, how to grow, college wrestlers and stuff. And we actually interviewed a sports psychiatrist who played college football. And that dude is saying everything that you just said, Jared. So I don't know what sports psychologists that you've talked to, but these guys are not, they're not out there saying like be pansies and have excuses. They're hard. And they're like, what they try to do is, from what I've seen, is they try to get these athletes to get out of their own head, and not like, for example, if a wrestler is, and this is my sport, so I know it really well. But so like if a wrestler is like the 33 seed and he's about to take on the 1 seed, every wrestler in the history of mankind has started to like doubt themselves for having that seeding. The psychologist has helped build the frames around that kid's brain, so where he, helped giving him tools where he goes in there and knows he's equal to that kid. And that all comes down to their practice and the regimen. If they're not putting in the practice, if they don't have those skill sets, then it's wasted on them. But so I think a lot of the sports psychologists that I know only reinforce what you're saying, with different words.
All the ones we've had in the NFL, you get to a certain point and it's just in the rhetoric it's just too much, right? And like, so again, and I'm big on processes, massive on processes, and massive on winning routines and that kind of stuff. So if that falls into some of the sports psychology stuff, then yes. Where I get to is you can't build false confidence in somebody. You know what I mean? And in our sport, you get with a locker room full of alpha males, you get weeded out, right? And so, to what you were saying, like if someone's come in and you're worried about the seating, the way we were raised was that's what separates the guy who might be seated 15 goes in and goes, I don't care. I'm going to beat everybody anyways. And then you got a guy that comes in seated 15. He's like, oh, how come I'm not seated 10? Like your mind's already in the wrong spot, right? So we always looked at those, we had guys on teams like that. It was like, hey, clearly he doesn't have the mental toughness to be that next level athlete, right? So I get what you're saying. I get you're saying that these guys are trying to train it. I think you get to a point though, like I was trying to bring up with Johnny, is some of the information you get, right? And the fact that if that kid has to sit there and talk with somebody about how to find his worth amongst a ranking, I'm like, but now we're taking away from the physical ability and the training that you could be doing. And again, I'm not expecting everybody to agree with me on this. This is just one man's opinion. I just think
we've been down that road a lot, Jared. So it's all good.
But I'm just
We're
saying,
used to it by now.
At some point, when there's like, well, why didn't you win that match? Well, I was so worried about the ranking. I don't know what the answer to that is, right? And how do you train that out of somebody? So,
I would say then if they went through a sports psychologist and that sports psychologist did not do their job, I think that's a very specialized field, and I think it's probably like some people are better than others at it.
I would agree. I'm sure there's good and bad in all of it. It's foreign to me from that standpoint. And later in my career, the team started implementing them, and it really just didn't land with our older guys, right? Because it's like honestly, again, I'm super happy for the concussion protocol, right? But it was when they started coming out with these concussion proof helmets and all this stuff, and they tried to take my Rydell from me. I was like, out of over my dead body. I know exactly what this helmet will do.
What do you think
I know
about
the limitations
foam?
of it? That's the dumbest. The Guardian cap thing. I wouldn't. If I had to wear a Guardian cap, I wouldn't play, honestly. And I'm hoping, and I know it's protecting people. I think it looks dumb from an aesthetic standpoint. I think the Guardian cap looks super dumb.
The bobblehead.
And I'm just like, nope, I wouldn't do it. I would be like,
well, there was that guard in the Super Bowl who had the Guardian cap on, and he was just getting manhandled.
Because everybody on the other side was like, let's pick on the guy with the Guardian cap. You know what I'm saying? That dude needed a real psychologist after some of those players on the New England offensive line needed a real psychologist after that performance. Man, I felt bad for that left tackle. They blew a play dead. He got hit so hard in the chest, he went straight on the back of his head. I was just like, oh my gosh.
And some of that's got to be on the offensive coordinator for not, changing blocking schemes.
You got to run the ball. You got to run the ball in that situation. Johnny, that's a good segue. So in a curling match, Johnny, let's say you're playing for the gold medal, right? How would you make that adjustment, right? You got a part of your team that's sucking, maybe your lead or maybe your front end or something like that. As a skip or even as a teammate, how do you convey information to come back and be like, hey, we got to protect this guy. We're trying to win a gold medal here.
Well, I'll give you our story for 2010 because it's kind of relatable to this question. So we're 2010. We're in the final against Sweden. No, it wasn't Sweden. It was Norway. Sorry, it was Norway. And my team's, my skip is Kevin Martin, one of the best curlers of all time. But he was at Olympics 8 years ago, his last Olympics, and he had a shot for the win, and he missed. So, you can imagine what's going in his head. He's got, it's 8 years later, I'm in a gold medal game again, I got a chance. But the only time I've ever seen him nervous in my life was in that game. So, and then my other teammate, Benny Hebert, he was a pretty young fella. He was puking before the game. He was vomiting in the shower. So I'm seeing this. I'm like, man, I gotta do something. So the way I deal with nerves is like, I don't like going into a game with like pent up energy. So I go to the gym, and we weren't staying in the village. So I'm literally in this gym in Vancouver, this ghetto gym. And I'm working out, but we play at 2, and that's like 9 a.m. I'm in the gym, and it was funny. About halfway through my workout, people start looking over me like, "Aren't you in a gold medal game in like 4 hours from now?" Like these are all these locals, right? Anyhow, I go home after, and you can kind of cut the tension in our house with, we had some nerves going. So and no one's eating, and I'm like, what the F? Like no one's eating before a game at 2. So I make myself one of these Dagwood sandwiches. Like, those big, it was like 10-inch sandwich. I got 4 eggs in there. I'm like, guys, I guess if you ain't eating, I'm going to have to eat for all of you. So I make this huge sandwich, take a big bite out of it. And I did my best. I finally got a chuckle out of the boys. And, but that was, and then we went into the game. And again, Kevin was a pro, but he was nervous. And I remember bringing Mark and Ben aside saying, boys, we got a nervous skip. This is what we got to do. We got to play our hearts out and make sure we set him up with easy shots. Okay. We don't want to put some heat on Kevin in this first half of this game. Let him build some confidence. And I kind of we wanted to rally around this, not make it something that's going to make us lose this game. So we pulled together. We played our butts off that first half, Ben and Mark and I, and we felt we gave Kevin some easier shots, right? And you could tell he was, he wasn't saying a lot. But then in the 5th end of that game, Kev, he finally had a real tough shot, and he made it. And we're like, all right, we got our skip back, and we ended up, I think we won 6-3 in that game. But that was memories from that 2010 where, sometimes your teammates aren't feeling it, and rather than just hoping they're gonna, sometimes you got to do something about it, right? So.
It probably helps distract the other guys that are nervous, right? Because now they're playing for skip.
You bet.
They're not worried about, it's a little heightened sense of focus right there. Look at you, a sports psychologist.
Distraction can be one heck of a tool sometimes, I'll tell you.
Think about it, though, Jared. He's a fireman, too. Think about all the things he has to say to people to keep them focused in really hard situations. So
see, now you're making me feel bad for saying I don't believe in sports psychology. I'm like, can we just call it a mind coach? You know what I mean? Like, can we just call it a processing coach?
Yeah.
Well, then some university institution couldn't charge for for a fee on that.
I've had teammates, and you hear about guys in the league that literally it's like, oh man, like there's an excuse out of it, like, man, I wasn't in the right headspace. Man, my pants didn't fit properly today, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, come on.
Wait, somebody really used that excuse? My pants didn't fit?
Like, dude, there's dudes that, like, honestly, guys that play with college, if they were questioning whether they could play, like, if man, my workouts this week, I didn't really hit my numbers I wanted to hit, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, dude, you are just, oh.
And a good coach. One of my favorite lines and quotes is I kind of forget who said it, but losers like to hang out with losers and talk about winners. Don't be a loser. And that that's that mentality right there. Is
winners win, baby. That's what you do.
Win and
I wake up and I piss excellence. Yeah. In the words of Ricky Bobby. You ain't first, you're legend.
Well, this is a great segue to our next topic, and that is aliens.
So, we're going there. Let's get it.
Let's do it.
Right.
First of all, before I get into this, Johnny, do you believe in aliens?
I think there's probably something out there on a different atmosphere.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be game for that.
There is a conspiracy theory going around that the sport you love, the one that you have 2 Olympic gold medals in, actually has been influenced by aliens. Now,
I didn't watch the YouTube. It was a YouTube. It wasn't even an article.
Well, no. The YouTube spans from years of theories, and it basically comes from some hypothesis in the scientific community that non-natural technological advancements from interstellar objects or seafloor metals are basically anything that's a perfect shape is evidence of extraterrestrial technology. So those stones could very well be influenced or created by aliens.
Especially those double touchstones.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Kennedy might be an alien. He was just phoning home. He was phoning home.
Yeah, hey, you know what? I won't say it's I won't say it's
connection is right there, Fred, and we missed it. Mark Kennedy was just telling the world that the aliens created the stones. They all come from the same rock quarry too. True. You know what I mean? Why is there no diversity of who could make the stones?
True.
Going back to Dr. Swartlow. That rock quarry is run by extraterrestrials. I don't know. But why is it though? So what I'm taking is that physicists are saying that the stones are too perfect.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I mean, it's 2026. We're just laser cutting these, I'm assuming, right? Johnny, how are stones being made these days?
I think they're being laser cut, and they're coming from the granite's coming from Scotland, right? That's the.
Yeah. Have you ever witnessed a stone being created?
I haven't. Have you ever seen the movie Men with Brooms?
No, I need to see that though.
Curling movie, and at the end, they need 2 points, and they only have 1 stone left. So they throw the stone as hard as they can. It hits the other stone, and it blows up into 2 pieces, comes down, and that's their deuce. So that's my.
And you just ruined the movie for us. I love
it. Still worth watching.
So let's talk about that for a second. What if a stone cracked and came into 2? Would that become 2 stones?
Apparently, the bigger piece is the one that counts.
The bigger piece.
Whichever piece is bigger is the one they. I've never seen it happen. I think for it to happen, you'd actually have to have 2. Like how usually you have 1 stone going at the other stone. You'd have to have 2 stones coming. Like it would multiply that force by 100 if they're going at each other as hard as you can throw it, and they hit each other. They don't glance. They hit each other bang on.
Yeah,
that would be. But that's the only time I've ever heard of a stone breaking.
Okay.
Do you all bring your own stones like bowlers, or do you take on the stone of the competition?
Great question, Fred. Great question. My great grandpa. You ever heard of what a briar is? Like a briar is the Canadian curling championship. It's like legend, right?
Briar Cup.
So my great grandpa played in the 1936 Canadian Briar, and
Wow.
What you had to do back then is you carried your own stones. You took a train from like Western Canada to Central Canada. Each player on their team took their stones, and you were on this train for like 3 days, just smoking darts and drinking. Probably, I don't know if they're drinking bourbon back then, but that's how you got to a curling ball.
Canadian moonshine.
Yeah, but not anymore. That's about 50 years ago. We didn't have to pack our own stones, which would have been expensive at the old airport fees, you know.
Oh goodness! Yeah, now each like the slams. We have a set of stones for the slams, so everybody has rock books now too, right? So everybody has information on the rocks, and typically, correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, but typically, like in like U.S. Nationals, the stones stay on the same sheet too. So sheet 1 has the same stones. Sheet 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. Red and yellow. I'm not sure if that's the way it is at the Briar or not, or the Olympics, but no, each competition has their own set of stones. Each bonspiel you go, the club, provides the stones.
Okay.
Imagine having to carry, 42 times. If everybody had to carry 2, you're carrying 84 pounds of grain.
I wouldn't even bring another bag. It'd be it.
That would be something, The carry you could fit it in the overhead bin though. So
the plane would take off. All the curlers would have to fly on individual planes.
That'd be funny.
But back to being an alien sport. It's specifically because of the rock shape, nothing else.
That is the main hypothesis.
Maybe the circles too, right? Maybe the houses, because they're like the perfect circles.
It's like a crop circle.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, all these things have been debunked, but they've also been tied to those alien ships. And there is someone, there's someone out there saying that like you can curl into other dimensions too.
Back to time travel.
Yeah.
Back to time travel.
Like the stones could have something to do with like how to get into another. Yeah. It could be part of the portal. Mm-hmm.
Wow. How do people come up with these theories? I'm just being honest, because other than Dr. Swarlow, I've never met anybody that said they have physically time traveled.
Have you ever met anyone who has schizophrenia?
Yes. I had an uncle who had schizophrenia, yes.
Yeah, so, you could sit down and have a cup of coffee with them, and, like, you will hear some of the craziest stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, and you walk away from it sometimes, like, that's pretty plausible. And if someone has advanced schizophrenia, you have like people who see things, and if they bring that to you, like there's so many things in the human mind that, our vision, we cannot see, things we cannot hear. So what if if you take into consideration, like maybe these people with autism, schizophrenia, things like that, they're part of the evolution of our species, and they're picking some up. So if you want to go down that rabbit hole,
well, they might be accessing more of our brain, where they say we only use 10% of our brain. So have you seen the movie Frequency? Like, what happens if you can unlock the rest of your brain?
Yeah, and so that's what if you think of it like that, and then and you get online, people are not guarded by like if someone's online putting something in a Reddit forum, you don't have an interpersonal judgment there. Like
If just an existential judgment from everybody else who's typing against you.
Exactly. I mean, these people could be pooping in their pants in the middle of a park or a subway, and but you don't know that when they're on Reddit. You know what I mean?
So you're just dumping in your pants while posting on Reddit? Is that how did we tie that together? I'm glad you said that, not me, Johnny. I apologize. Fred's out of control right now. Fred is out of control. But yeah, what if those people? What if they're actually more enlightened than us? I could get down that rabbit hole.
I think
I could get down that rabbit hole. And coming from a place of faith, I think I'm under the impression God doesn't make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. God makes you perfectly perfect or perfectly imperfect. You're perfect in His image for what He has planned for you. So maybe some people just are able to unlock more of their minds and have a more enlightened thinking. And
and what do we do? And what do we do when someone
people that I know that their thinking is pretty not good.
And what have we done in the last 200 years when someone presents a different set of beliefs, not based on religion, but based on what they observe and hear and see? they get ostracized, put on medication, often put in straitjackets, and hidden. So like if you take a look at what we have done to those people in society, like schizophrenics have been treated horribly over the years, and they're not necessarily bad people.
No. My uncle, he was actually epileptic and schizophrenia, and again, two totally different people on meds. Now he would have seizures and he would rage. Right, he thought he had microphones in his head. He's passed on now, but no, I've seen that bad. I've seen what that can do, and it's crazy. And then you have some. There was a show about that. I know it was like a Hollywood produced, but it was like loosely where. Yeah, I can't. What was the show? He was like a professor or something, but he had schizophrenia, and when he would have schizophrenic moments, or I don't know what they call that, like he was like a mathematician or something, And you can talk about like autism. Some people on autism, they say they're just so highly intelligent in one certain aspect, right?
Yeah.
We had a kid in high school that he was testing out, middle school, and he had like a 168 IQ in middle school, right? One of the smartest human beings, but so socially awkward because he just saw things. He saw things and presented things different than your typical average 13-year-old kid, So I could get down with that. I think the mind is crazy. The mind is powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think there's some good guys in curling. Curling takes a smart individual. There's a lot of really intelligent people in curling.
Definitely some strategy. Definitely some strategy.
Well,
like not being a curler, I cannot wait for you all to teach me how. Like I'm fascinated with the sport.
Well, especially we get skips. Sometimes skips are like goalies in hockey. They're a little quirky, but they're inside they got that genius. They're mapping everything out. They're 6 steps ahead, and it's like chess on ice, but you still burn 1,000 calories a game, as Jared can now attest to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm afraid I'm going to fall when I get on the ice.
Oh, you were going to 100%.
Yeah,
100% going to fall. Even I've been playing. I don't think I've been at one tournament where I have not fallen. I was really hoping to accomplish that at the Slam, and it wasn't my equipment malfunction.
You almost did it. You almost had her, man. It was the broom break.
Equipment malfunction. I still think we win that. I think we win that game if I don't break that broom.
Yeah.
So this sounds like you've been talking to a sports psychologist here, making an excuse, Jared, about your stick there.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, the excuse. I clearly, you know what Colton Flash told me? He was like, "Have better form, and your broom won't break."
Yeah,
I was like, well said, sir.
Of course,
well said.
At least you didn't blame your pants.
Well said. Yeah. Well, the angle and the flexion, and my pants were riding up. I'm just glad I didn't impale myself.
As we kind of wrap things up here, let's kind of throw it out to both of you. What's the state of curling, and what's the future look like, Johnny?
Well, the state of curling is in Canada, we're not winning as many medals, but I'm pumped for it because the rest of the world curling is growing. There's every year there's another country that is joined the World Curling Federation. And it's gotten so big in the rest of the world. We're actually launching a new pro league that starts in April, and essentially, first time ever, you're not playing with your country mates. It's like we're making these these kind of more super teams like you'd see in Premier League and soccer, and you're playing with players from the best players in the world are playing with other countries' players, and it's going to be a really it's going to be an absolutely rocking league that, it's kind of going to be, you guys know the Waste Management Classic or Waste Management Open?
Yeah, I was just there. Yeah, I was working at it.
So we're trying to, that's part of our business models. We want to make curling so exciting as it's got to be not just must-see TV, but must be at the venue to experience this because it's going to be that much fun to watch this sport. And the way we're going to put it on, there's going to be courtside seats right in the middle. So you can literally feel the curlers sweating on you, and you can hear them yelling "hurry hard," and we're going global with it. So, pretty pumped about it. I think curling's in good hands. I think I think we're about to see it. With everyone watches the Olympics, and
be careful what you wish for with wanting to model the Waste Management Open. That
it's gone crazy.
That was it's
psychotic. I was there. I used to go to that thing when it was literally solo cups on the 16th green, right, and like hot dog vendors. There was nobody there.
So,
now this thing is out of control.
Okay, we're not
it's
getting that
insane.
crazy. We're going maybe 10 years ago waste management, all right?
All right, I like that. Dude. Could even probably go 12 years. That would be great.
Sponsored by Full Ride, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. I think, you know what? Curling's great. All my phone keeps blowing up because everybody knows I curl, obviously. Everybody watches curling in the Olympics. And when you get so much attention around one singular sport in the Winter Olympics, every year in and year out, it's about maintaining, right? And that's what we're trying to do over there with the curling group and stuff like that with the Rock League, is we're really trying to take these athletes and put them on the forefront and show people how curling is crazy. Like when you break down the shots, like if you know in football sometimes they do you know how they do the the next gen stats,
Right.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if anybody watched that Italian game last night, U.S. game, that dude there, I think he's the second or third for. I think he's the third for Italy. The big tall guy, was it
Amos.
Yeah, I'll mispronounce his name, but that dude was making run back doubles, triples. I mean, this dude was making shots that were insane. And if you're off by this much, it's a totally different shot, right? So I mean, you're literally throwing a rock 140 feet, 44 feet in most cases, trying to hit a spot on another rock when you're talking centimeters, millimeters difference sometimes to create these shots. And then you're trying to create angles by, hey, I need you to throw this rock down here at this speed, tap it 2 more feet because in 3 shots, we're going to use that rock and jam it over to this rock. So when you get into the mentality of that next gen stats of it, curling is fascinating. And so what we're trying to do is create content around that and highlight those players and the minds and the physicality of it. And sweeping now is a different game. You're seeing these dudes they're my size out there, right? Going at it. So I'm excited for it. Johnny, got to ask you though. So if Canada comes back, and I think Switzerland's probably the favorite right now, right? If Canada comes and beats and wins the gold, any controversy around it? Or you think it all goes by the wayside? You think everybody's been cleared of the accusations and curling's better off for it?
Well, I think anyone in the curling world and in the curling there's zero asterisks behind it. But you're going to have people out there that are going to, there's the casual Olympic fan that just wants to bring some hype, and I think that's going to likely create something. But the people that I trust the most, the people in the curling world, you can even ask the Swedes. I bet if you ask the Swedes after and be like, hey, did the double touch have anything to do with Canada winning? All of them would 100% say no. So that, to me, that's who you can really believe. So
maybe this whole thing is just a conspiracy theory was made up to create controversy to bring curling to the forefront.
It could be. There's definitely a lot of hype, man.
All pub is good pub.
There's some definite hype. Now, I got one last question for you, though, before we head out. Okay? And I got to change the topic a little bit to hockey, okay? Because I love my curling, but, man, I love the hockey. Like, Canada's playing the Czechs right now in our quarterfinal, and you guys got the Swedes in your quarterfinal. So, assuming everything goes well, we're going to play each other in the final. It's going to be Canada-U.S., everyone in the Western Hemisphere wants to see that, and it's going to be
100%.
Hopefully a 6-5 game in overtime with Matthew Tkachuk and Tom Wilson going at it. But I want to make a little wager with you, Jared. Okay? Because I got my Canada gear on. I think you got your you got your cowboy gear on there. So let's do this. If Canada beats the States in hockey gold for hockey gold, I want to try your best bottle of the full ride. All right? Okay.
Done.
And if the Americans beat us, you guys beat us, I'll get you our best Canadian whiskey, Crown Royal. Okay, I'll get you one of the.
You're talking to you can't say Crown Royal when you're talking to the end all be all of whiskey connoisseurs and Fred Minnick.
We don't have a lot of whiskey options here in Canada, right? So I could give you.
You do actually. You do. You got a lot of them, but
you pick me
such a big country and they're spread out.
Fred can pick you a bottle.
Boom.
The best, favorite Canadian whiskey. And if the U.S. beats us, I'll make sure next time I see that I'll have a nice bottle of that for you. How does that sound?
And as we're cheersing, the other one has to sing the other one's national anthem.
Okay, I'm going to need some work for that one.
That's some confidence right there.
All right, I like that.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, it is good to be. American hockey has never been so fun, so fun to watch, right?
I mean, love it.
They are running through people,
and we like to fight.
Yeah,
dude. No, actually, it was funny. I was at a volleyball tournament with my oldest, and we happened to be watching the Latvia. Who was it? Latvia. Oh gosh, I'm going not Denmark. Was it Denmark? Yeah, I think
Germany.
Yeah, Denmark game, right? And they were, and my daughter, she was all into it. It was great, and there was fighting. I was like, you never see fighting in Olympic hockey like ever. This is great. Dudes just eating gloves to the teeth. Oh, it was hockey. Hockey is probably my favorite sport to watch live. Honestly, so many back checks, so many fights, hits going on behind the puck, and so no, but it's been great, man. I tell you what, I think you're right. I think it's great for the sport. It's great for the Western Hemisphere. For the Americans to be front and center, and if we can have another miracle, now the miracle it's going to be the shoes on the other foot. Though it's going to be a miracle if you guys beat us.
I know you guys are starting to.
Dang.
I know the day that the U.S.
I'm not that confident, Jared.
The day we're losing the U.S. on the regular in curling and hockey, man.
Oh, by the way, Johnny,
trouble.
if you all lose in the quarters, then you lost the bet. And if Jared, if the U.S. loses in the quarters,
we got it.
You lost the bet.
All right. I like that. All right, Fred, you're a good mediator here. I like that.
Yeah.
And if you both lose, I think you play for bronze. Would you play for bronze?
If we make the semis and then lose, then we could keep it going in the bronze game.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
You got it.
Cool. All right. Otherwise, the bet is null and void, and you have to go to something else.
I actually have a bottle of Canadian whiskey that is 162 proof, given to me by the gentleman I'm speaking with, Fred Minnick. What is it? Not Brat. What's it called? It starts with a B.
Oh, that was the. Oh gosh, what was that product?
Sits on my shelf, never gets touched. But
I'm drawn. Obtainium.
Obtainium, that would be. I bought it from that website.
Is it like fire starter? You guys use it for the fire starter?
No, so Fred always does this thing. Every time I used to do his, the Fred Minnick show, his bourbon show, he'd always give me just some rare, crazy, awesome, something to taste. And so last time I did the show, we were down here in Nashville, and he said, taste this. And I was like, oh my God. And believe it or not, it's so smooth. It's like dangerously smooth.
Really?
And it was 162 proof. Now, you take a thimble full because too much of that, you're going to have some gut rot. But, man, I'm not going to lie. That's a Canadian whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Well, I'm
it's great. It's a great camping whiskey because you can start a fire in the snow with it, and you can stay warm and avoid hypothermia.
and if you cut yourself with some kind of laced bacteria, stone, then it'll heal you. It'll kill that bacteria.
It's actually probably one of the greatest products on the market right now.
Made in Canada right now. All right, gentlemen. Well, Johnny Moe, thanks for coming on. It's always we've had a lot of Olympic gold medalists and world champions on this show, and that's kind of a running theme. We like to bring in people who are of a championship mindset. Now I know why. Jared's slowly wanting to get rid of all sports psychologists and use this as a platform to do it. But we learned something new about Jared today.
I would be willing to have a sports psychologist on it, especially the one that you were talking about, Fred, that was telling people just to toughen up and get at it, right?
Oh yeah, you'll love this dude.
And maybe I'm speaking ignorantly here, right?
No.
I would
you're
love
old school
to hear the other side of things. But again, I do believe sometimes too much information is too much. Sometimes you just got to man up and get crap done.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jared, I do think that you were probably of the wrong generation. You're probably more of a 70s football player.
You're correct on that.
You would have loved to have been able to clothesline people. They took away a horse collar on you.
The horse collar was the best. I mean, that's how else am I supposed to grab him? It's tackle football. I got to get him on the ground. If he gets his leg busted, that's a him problem. That's an ish him, not an ish me. You know what I mean? That's an ish you. The hip drop tackle, you can't do that anymore. Like, come on. We're not actually thinking about that stuff. I'm not going to lie. One of the greatest, you take like a Ronnie Lott. one of the greatest ways to stop people from throwing over the middle was to torpedo your face through their face. Can't do that anymore.
Jared Allen for commissioner.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the
he wouldn't
sounds of
last
that.
5 seconds with the players today.
I'm for player safety, but I think, again, I've always said this, all for player safety. But at some point, you can't lose the intent of the game. And we all know the challenges and the risk at each position we play, and we willfully sign up for it. And so I think the biggest flaw in player safety right now is the non-intent, like accidental contact to the helmet of quarterbacks and stuff like that, or throwing a guy down, and it's like, come on, I get it. You want to protect the money, on the field, but to what detriment? I remember when, Chris Jones got a sack taken away from him because he fell too hard on the guy. You're just like, get out of here. You might as well take the helmet off the quarterback. You got to be able to neutralize both positions. That's why pass rushers get paid a bunch of money. Quarterbacks get paid.
And I would say too, if you take a look at contact injuries versus non-contact injuries, I mean, it's insane like how many non-contact injuries are out there.
There's a ton.
What are you going to do? Start finding the turf?
Most Achilles injuries are non-contact.
So
don't quote me on that. I'm just saying that from observation.
You heard it here first, folks. Jared Allen has
Dr. Allen
established.
I got my medical advice from my firefighting friend Johnny Moe.
Well, boys, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming on, Johnny. Everyone, like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Give us a review out there. And let's go watch some Winter Olympics. Cheers.
Do it.
Cheers, fellas.
All right, Johnny. Oh, shoot. He hopped off.
Oh. I'll tell him, get back on to upload.
Yeah, we need you to upload, Johnny. He's like, he couldn't wait to get out of here.